Reveals she and Will Smith don't have a prenup. Will's not worth 350 M's. Jada's not worth 50 M's. It seems like Jada's new plan every time she's talked since they took that red table away or whatever TV show it was. I'm gonna ruin Will Smith.
We finally know why Will Smith is putting up with Jada's mess, and it's for one and one reason only: money. Now, Miss Jada has been consistent and persistent when it comes to publicly humiliating Will for years, and everyone has been trying to figure out why Will hasn't simply filed for divorce. I mean, clearly, neither of them has been happy in this marriage for a long time. They have enough money to live separately, and their children are all adults now. So what's the holdup? Well, it looks like the money could be the underlying reason after all, because Jada recently confirmed that she and Will never signed a prenup because they both believed divorce was not an option. Fans are now saying that Jada's recent actions may be part of a strategy to push Will into initiating the divorce, because this would require him to split his assets with her. And boy, are the assets huge. I'm talking about millions of dollars. Will, on the other hand, is terrified of divorce. Now, he says it's because he thinks divorce is the worst failure of his life. But is it really that? Or is he scared that Jada might take away all that he has worked for all these years? Let's get into it.
Yeah. You know why I never got divorced?
It's cheaper to keep me.
No.
Honestly, this Jada and Will situation is getting more ridiculous by the day. And Jada is still going from podcast to talk about her marriage and air out their private business, and none of this is making any sense. At first, a lot of people looked at Will as a victim who'd been whipped by his narcissistic wife. But honestly, it's now starting to look like these two deserve each other. And the only people I feel sorry for are their kids, because I can't imagine what it was like living with Will and Jada. So y'all probably heard by now that Jada revealed she and Will separated 7 years ago and have been living completely separate lives. But when Jada was asked why she and Will haven't filed for divorce since they're already living like a divorced couple, Jada said it's because they made a promise to each other that they would work through whatever issues came their way.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
But wait, since when does living separately and sleeping with other people count as working through your marriage issues? I mean, I guess it's their business, except that they decided to make it our business too. See, people have been dragging Jada for oversharing, and rightfully so. But let's not forget that Will also published a memoir 2 years ago, and he revealed a bunch of wild details about his love life. To give you just a few examples, he revealed that he fell in love with his 6 Degrees of Separation co-star, Stockard Channing, while he was married to his first wife, Cherie Zampino, shortly after Cherie gave birth to her son with Will, Trey. Cherie and I were in the first few months of our marriage with a brand new baby, and for Cherie, I can imagine that this experience was unsettling, to say the least. After the film wrapped, Cherie, Trey, and I moved back to LA. Our marriage was off to a rocky start. I found myself desperately yearning to see and speak to Stockard. And get this, Will also kept in touch with Jada throughout his marriage to Cherie. Jada and Will first met on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in 1990, and Will developed an obsession with Jada from the jump, but she turned him down. So Will went on to marry Cherie, while secretly still obsessing over Jada. But when Cherie suggested divorce, Will tried to fight it, despite knowing Cherie wasn't the one. Will later recalled how after one of his conversations with Jada, he realized she was the woman he wanted all along, but he still didn't want to end things with Cherie. Will said, "I had to get up from dinner when I had a realization that I wasn't with the person I was supposed to be with. I was sitting in a stall and I was crying and laughing uncontrollably, and I knew Jada was the woman I was supposed to be with, but I was never getting divorced. I went back out, sat down with Cherie, and started going back on with my life." But Cherie was fed up with Will by this point, and she ended up filing for divorce. But Will still tried to fight it and initially refused to sign the papers until Cherie told him, "So you're gonna make somebody stay with you who doesn't love you?" But get this, the very same day Will signed the divorce papers with Cherie, he called Jada and asked her out on a date. Anyway, Will admitted in his memoir that he was a horrible husband to Cherie, and he also said that divorce was the worst thing that ever happened to him. "Divorce was the worst thing in my adult life. Divorce was the ultimate failure for me. I've been hurt a lot in my adult life, but I don't think anything touches the failure of getting divorced from my 2-year-old son's mother." So yeah, Will obviously has some issues that he needs to work on, because this idea that getting a divorce is somehow worse than staying in a bad marriage is beyond toxic. Also, I want to point out that a lot of people have accused Jada of cheating because of her entanglement with August Alsina, while conveniently forgetting to mention that Will admitted in his memoir that he had multiple entanglements of his own. He just never talked about it publicly. Keep in mind, Jada and Will have been living separately since 2016. So if you think Jada was the only one having fun, you are gravely mistaken. But there is one thing that makes Will look better in this situation, and that's the fact that he's never publicly trashed Jada. In fact, every time he's talked about her, he's had nothing but amazing things to say. Jada, on the other hand, has said a lot, and I mean a lot, of questionable things about Will, to the point where it's now really starting to look like she's trying to push him to file for divorce. And fans are now speculating that money is the reason Jada is doing the most to get Will to divorce her. In a recent interview with Parade Friday, Jada revealed that she and Will don't have a prenup, and that's because before they got married, they promised each other they would figure out all issues that come their way. No matter what, we're gonna figure it out, and that's why we don't need a prenup, Jada said, because I'm making a promise that divorce won't be necessary, that we will figure this out. But many fans are now speculating that Jada does in fact want to divorce Will, but she doesn't want to be the one to initiate it because then it would be harder for her to get Will's money. One user wrote, "My theory is Jada is broke if she ain't married to Will. Red Table Talk is gone and he is 4 times her net worth. He won't divorce her because it's the only way to keep her from getting his money. So now she's going to lengths to embarrass him and force him into the divorce." And another fan added, "Seems like to me, Jada's trying to push Will to divorce her, but there's no prenup, so he's staying, LOL." So Jada's net worth is reportedly around $50 million, while Will's is said to be around $350 million. Now, some sources have suggested that if Will were to file the divorce papers first, he would have to give half of his fortune to Jada. See, without a prenup, all your assets are at risk, and this includes property, investments, business, and guys, even your reward points. No prenup means a messier and more expensive divorce, and you are also subject to the laws of your state regarding spousal support or alimony. So yeah, Will would most likely lose a significant portion, if not half of his wealth, if he were to initiate legal divorce. But then again, I don't think this is the only reason Will doesn't want to divorce Jada, and I think his reasons are more personal and have to do with his belief that divorce is a personal failure. And you know what Will has to say about it. Well, he is still obsessed with this woman, or at least that's what he wants us to think, because, you know, the money and all. During Jada's most recent appearance on the On Purpose with Jay Shetty podcast, Jay read a letter that Will wrote for Jada, in which Will gushed about Jada's strength and promised to love her even more.
I also have a letter from Will. I may need your help with, you may have to reenact some words because I feel like you'll be able to channel.
Okay.
I know it wasn't easy to excavate the depths in that way. I applaud and honor you. If I had read this book 30 years ago, I definitely would have hugged you more. I'll start now. Welcome to the Authors Club. I love you endlessly. Now go get some Merlot and take a rest.
I don't know about you, but to me, this whole thing is super weird. And like I said, the only ones I feel sorry for are the kids. But let me know how you feel about this. Do you think Will doesn't want to divorce Jada only because he's trying to protect his money? Or are there some deeper issues that we just don't know about? Let me know in the comments. And then check out this next video.